Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Sam Ryan. Let me get my jacket on. Hey, a lot of folks have been wondering about cloud conditions for the eclipse starting on Monday here as we go through Nebraska. Nebraska's here, and perhaps parts of Wyoming, even into Missouri. Now, there are some complications that are taking place. So I want to show you kind of what's going on out there. So this is noon satellite on Sunday, and we have a lot of mid and high level moisture parked down here in New Mexico. There's a wave of low pressure which is developing over the Rockies, and that's going to pick up some of that high level moisture and push it up to the north and northeast, overspreading much of the state here, Nebraska, and also parts of Wyoming, Missouri, and all the way through Iowa. Okay, so that's high level clouds. You could still see the sun through that, and as we look at satellite at noon today, there are some gaps in that high level cloudiness. It's a little bit more overcast down in New Mexico, but as that lifts north, again, we'll probably get some gaps, and again, that's the high and mid level cloudiness. If you're going to be in Nebraska, that will be preferred over low level cloudiness. Now, that's not the only issue here. So we also have a frontal boundary. And so as we look out west, this is the surface map Monday morning at around 6 a.m., best I can do. And it has this frontal boundary draped right over the state of Nebraska. So south of that front is where the high level cloudiness will reach. Once you get north of this front, that's when you start to tap into some more moisture, and you're looking at the potential there for some low level cloudiness. Okay, so you want to actually be south of that front, not north. And there's a possibility that front could drop south, but you see how it kind of angles itself from the northeast down to the southwest? Your best bet in Nebraska is central Nebraska. You want to be south of that front. Okay, I want to emphasize that. You might run into some high-level cloudiness, but you want to be south of that front. Now, as we go forward in time, 6 p.m. surface map again shows that frontal boundary draped right across the state of Nebraska. So north of that front, you run into low-level cloudiness. Not good. That could completely ruin your viewing experience. Now, a little farther to the west, things completely dry out. What happens is you get dry air over the Rockies, you get downsloping. That's going to clear out the skies completely. So if you can get over to Wyoming, say, for example, that's your best bet. But there's a window of opportunity between those high-level clouds and those low-level clouds right through central Nebraska. So if that's the farthest you're willing to travel, I suggest going there. Missouri might be another option, but we'll have the chance for some of those puffy cumulus clouds developing in the afternoon. So that might be another option if that's not too far. Or central Nebraska, perhaps. Again, it's a little iffy there. You could run into the high-level cloudiness or even some of those low-level clouds, depending on exactly where that front sets up. You go farther west, again, that front angles. So you don't really want to be there over into western Nebraska. Now you get into Wyoming, you should be good to go. I've been watching this very closely. Over to Wyoming, this is the NAM cloud forecast. You see all those clouds here across Nebraska. Again, slightly worried about that. Best bet, central Nebraska, maybe over towards Grand Island. Farther west you head, you're going to start to get into some clearing right along the border here with Wyoming. Now, I'm taking my family, and we were going to be heading to Grand Island, but I'm a little concerned about that. So Grand Island, if I could point it out, where are you, Grand Island? Somewhere here in central Nebraska. We are deciding now to take off, and we're going to go over to Douglas, Wyoming. Douglas, Wyoming is going to be in the clear. Again, that wave of low pressure, you don't really want the winds out of the northeast. That's going to build in some of those low-level clouds. Out of the south, it's okay, high-level clouds. And then once you get over here, the winds will be out of the north. That's not necessarily good in Nebraska, but those northerly winds in Wyoming, you just have so much dry air in place, it should be just fine. So that's kind of a look at the forecast there. That's what I'm doing. We're deciding to drive a few extra hours to get into those clear skies and be more certain of that. Otherwise, you're going to run into some high-level clouds across Nebraska, especially southern Nebraska. There's a window of opportunity. Central Nebraska, your best bet. Go farther west, it's riskier, but then you go farther west than that into Wyoming, and you should be fine. There's a lot more certainty there on clear skies.